This is 416 Hero, a 50 defense gim account created with just two goals in mind: defeating Zuck for the Inferno Cape and completing the Colosseum for Dishonest Quiver. With that out the way now, we have set our sights on a new goal: achieving the max level of 99 in every single skill and ultimately acquiring the max cape. Right now we are in a race against the clock. Let me explain. Every 50 minutes or so we do a birdhouse run, and we are fast approaching level 89 Hunter. At level 89 Hunter, we unlock Redwood Birdhouses, the highest tier. However, they come with a second requirement: 90 crafting. We're not going to be slowing down on those birdhouse runs, so let's get to crafting. We're only level 76 right now. This skill, especially when compared to agility, is extremely fast. Here we are at 77 crafting already. Members can now craft red dragonhide armor and Huey Coddle chaps. We could get some red dragonhide if we choose to do Vorkat. I might do a couple down the line, I'm not too sure. Right now we're still sticking with Zulrah though. Oh, hello there. This is Wait For It. And yes, it's actually the same person, still me, just on a different account. A quick explainer for new viewers to the series: this account was created well beyond the existence of 416 Hero, before the start of the entire YouTube series. I was already maxed and I already had most of the PVM items, especially the mega rares in the game. Grandmaster, well, I accomplished that relatively recently actually. Nevertheless, 416 Heroes Max and Grind will have access to this account's bank, and we have ample supplies and resources sitting in there. Furthermore, throughout this max and grind, I'm going to be enjoying myself on this account and doing various PVM activities. But let's continue on with the air orbs. We're making air battle staves right now. We still have plenty of orbs to go through and certainly plenty of battle staves. We're going to need about another 150,000 EXP to get to 78 crafting. In the meanwhile, we are 254k EXP away from 88 Hunter. I'm actually trying to record this clip right now while trying not to plank in the middle of a Zulrah KC, but the crafting EXP is absolutely flying in, and that is 78 crafting now. Members can now craft crystal bows, crystal halberds, Huey Coddle bodies, and crystal shields. We can't even use a crystal shield right now, being 50 defense. And let's check in back on Wait For It. At Zulrah, we just reached the 1900 KC milestone. Now, if you're wondering why I'm doing Zulrah, there's actually two good reasons. For one thing, you can see that the collection log here is not completed. The only things missing are purely cosmetic, but at this stage of the account, it would be nice to get. The second reason is that Zulrah has a very extensive drop table with drops and resources that offer a lot of EXP in various skills. And since we're maxing on 416 Hero, obviously that is very beneficial. A little bit into level 78 crafting, we are now all out of air orbs. Well, let's check the magic box that is group storage, and in here is about 2,400 fire orbs. We're completely out of air orbs now, but we do have this stack of fire orbs. So we're going to go ahead and start doing that. It's the next best thing in terms of battle staves anyways. Now, where did these fire orbs come from? Well, as an endgame Ironman, I've been through countless grinds. And certain grinds are absolutely just seared into your brain for one reason or another. One of those grinds is Cerberus. At Cerberus, it took me an insane amount of KC just to get my hands on my first Eternal Crystal for the Eternal Boots. Now, once upon a time, the Eternal Boots weren't even that relevant. But with the existence of Avernic Treads these days, and even beforehand when they redistributed the magic damage percentage from the occult necklace to several other pieces of magic gear, well, it became all that more relevant, especially when you got your hands on a Tumican Shadow. And here comes another crafting level. This time around, we hit level 80. Nice little milestone there. Do we unlock anything at this level? Members can now craft Dragonstone amulets, so I guess like a glory. Enhanced crystal keys, eternal teleport crystals. Oh, and it looks like you need 80 crafting for all of the DT2 rings. That's something I actually didn't know. Well, with all these crafting gains, I've still been chipping away at the Zulrah KC. Don't get me wrong, the Shadow and the T-Bow nets us a lot of Zulrah KCs, but crafting is so fast it doesn't even seem comparable right now. We're currently on KC 1954, and I think when we get to 2000, I'm going to take a bit of a step back from Zulrah and find something else to do. While we're locked into specific grinds on 416 Hero, we do have the freedom over on here to do whatever we want. So we've gone through all the air orbs, and we're actually running low on these fire orbs now. A couple more inventories and we're going to be completely out. That leaves us with the water and the earth orbs, which for a second here, I kind of had my doubts on whether or not I wanted to go ahead and use those, but then I thought about it more, and to be honest, these battle staves and these orbs have been sitting in my bank for the longest time, probably multiple years even, and I haven't done anything with them, so I might as well make use of them. On top of that, I don't plan on charging orbs anytime soon. I didn't beforehand, and I'm not going to start now. So, yeah, we're just going to go ahead, and once we run out of these fire orbs, we're going to go ahead and do earth orbs. Or actually, you know, you'd think I'd know this, but which one is higher and which one is lower? Let's take a look at weaponry in the crafting menu here, and it's water then earth. Okay, that's what I thought, but I did have to double check to confirm that. And once again, let's open up the magic box that is the group storage. And here we have 5,300 earth orbs and another 90 battle staves that we picked up from Zulrah so far. Well, that new PB just came out of absolutely nowhere. To be fair, it was probably just like 1 second, but surprising nonetheless. And of course, time for a birdhouse run. We need another 208 birdhouses to go until 8800, then one more level after that to get the targeted 89. I just want to say, so we've been parked out here at the Myths Guild doing our crafting grind. And not too long ago, we were here for our 99 cooking grind as well, as the range is right next to the bank chest. You don't even have to move. This place is very nostalgic for me. I suppose that's the right word anyways, because I have done countless 99 grinds at this exact spot on my 2 other accounts. So think of everything that you could possibly train while bank standing, and that includes herb lore, crafting, cooking in this particular instance, and even a little bit of fletching. Although most of the time I did some multi-skilling with fletching, I was a bit more efficient on that. Well, safe to say that there are a few more 99s on the way here at this very location. Just came back from my birdhouse run, and we are fast approaching level 81 crafting. Coincidentally, actually, 81 more of these earth battle staves to make until we hit that level. But you can see here in the bank, we have 3,800 earth orbs remaining and another 2,800 or so battle staves left. Where did I get all these earth orbs from? If anybody knows, do let me know, because honestly, I have no idea. Going through this inventory here, we should be able to get to 81 crafting. Now this race for 89 hunter versus 90 crafting, you know, I wasn't so sure to begin with, but I feel like I'm going to hit 90 crafting sooner than 89 hunter. I could be wrong though. I mean, EXP is going to slow down once we run out of these battle staves. We're probably going to have to cut some gems, which is still pretty quick, but I don't think it's as quick as battle staves. I've probably said the word battle staves tens of times in this video already, but each time I say it, it just doesn't sound right. I keep wanting to say battle staves instead, but I think the proper grammar here, because it's plural, is going to be battle staves. It just doesn't sound right though. When I first came back to Zulrah, I was at roughly 1500 KC, maybe closer to 1600. Nevertheless, we are well over 300 KC now, and closing in on 2000 total KC. I believe seeing a drop here is every 1 in 128, so it's kind of surprising we haven't seen more drops. We've seen exactly 1 drop so far, and that was an uncut onyx. Even then, I'm sure that was over 128 KC ago, so maybe we're a little unlucky, who knows. But, you know, being an Ironman, one of the staples is complaining about drops, and then once you start complaining, you'll inevitably get the drop. That's how it works, right? It did not work. We did hit the rare drop table though, 67 nature runes, and I'll be taking those 12 dragon bones gladly. Okay, a magic fang a little while later. I guess complaining does work. That was KC 1981. So 19 more to go until the big 2000. Very nice to see a drop. This bad boy is worth 3.6 mil. You know, like, that's just cool to see. Obviously, I have no use for it. And there we have it, KC 2000. I saw that loot beam and I thought I got another special drop, but I guess a Dragon Halberd's actually pretty special. And a double Zulrah scales drop, so that's pretty nice. Well, that's going to wrap up the Zulrah grind for now. Unfortunately, we didn't get our hands on a mutagen or even the Jar of Swamp, but those things are very, very rare, and even 2000 KC in, we actually haven't hit the drop rate for those yet. So simply, we didn't get lucky, but we didn't get unlucky. Oh, and just as we got the 2000 KC, we got a exam center random on 416 Hero. I can't remember the last time I did one of these, so hopefully we still know how to do these. I'm going to assume this is jewelry, right? One more question. What comes next? A candle lantern thing. Fish out of water. Okay, this one is right on the nose. Am I blind? I can't see a third fish. Maybe the harpoon? I think it's the harpoon. All that, and we're about to get an EXP lamp. We're probably going to put it into Slayer. That is 1,328 Slayer EXP. Honestly, not too bad. You may be wondering why I put free EXP into Slayer rather than Herblore, which is the most common thing that Ironman would do, or even another slow skill such as Agility or Rune Crafting. Well, first things first, 416 Hero has access to Wait For It's Bank, which has a seemingly endless supply of Herblore EXP. Now, when it comes to Agility, honestly, that's a fair point. Maybe I should consider that. But I've been putting Slayer EXP, or I've been putting EXP into Slayer this entire time. And I guess the reasoning is that in the past on one of the other accounts, I've been incredibly burnt out training Slayer. Slayer was actually the last 99 to get on my normal regular account back in the day, and I remember burning out so hard from doing the Slayer grind. As for something like rune crafting, honestly, that's not really a priority right now. And when it comes to rune crafting, once I get my hands on the Guardians of the Rift outfit and then gain access to the Zaya rune crafting area, I'm going to have a good time there, so I don't really mind that at all. Well, on Wait For It, before we move on to our next grind, let's go ahead and do our farming contract. Working on some snape grass right now, in which we had this pre-planted already, so that's always a good feeling. The nice thing about farming contracts is that they're always nice to do. Even at this stage of the account, you never know what you're going to get out of the seed packs. And once I get done with this, I'm going to go ahead and do an herb run and a limpwort root run as well. We're not exactly short on potions or anything like that, but we are prepping for 416 Hero to get more Herblore EXP. And when it comes to secondaries like the limpwort roots, we have to farm those, and I don't have too many of those right now, so let's get to work on that. Getting ready for another crafting level right now, and I just noticed someone has a Forester's Campfire right here. Earlier, I was talking about potential bank standing skilling activities, and I suppose this is one of those. Not relevant to us right now unless we want to get post 99 fire making EXP, but for the incredibly lazy or somebody just looking for something incredibly chill to do, that is another option. Anyways, here is 82 crafting. Members can now craft black dragonhide chaps, onyx necklaces, blades of Saildor, and bows of... You know what? I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. But you know what? It seems like crafting is getting a lot of unlocks right now for us. It seems like every level there is actually something relevant to unlock. So that's pretty nice to see. I do have a blade of Saildor on this account, and I just went ahead and paid the extra crystal charges, or the shards, to make the corrupted blade of Saildor. These days, that's not too big of a deal, honestly. Back then, by the time you got an enhanced seed, you probably didn't have enough shards. Unless you just, you know, got really, really dry on going for the enhanced seed, which is one of those infamous, notorious Ironman grinds, right? There are some horror stories out there of how many KCs, how many corrupted gauntlet runs people have had to do to get their first seed. Well, a bit of a ramble there, but that's just what happens when you're standing at the bank, crafting away over and over again. But let's get into the next grind on Wait For It. Alright, I've done some thinking, and I finally figured out what I'm going to do next. I say this as if once I pick a grind, I have to stick to it as if I was some snowflake Ironman. However, that's obviously not the case. Nevertheless though, it is nice to pick a grind and stick to it, that way we know we're working towards something. So the next grind in question is going to be Vardorvis. Let's take a look at the collection log real quick. First and foremost, we have a KC total of 1,509. Obviously here at Vardorvis, the thing you want the most is the Ultor Prestige for the ring. Now I managed to snag this bad boy at KC 1,508. That's right, I was actually pretty unlucky in that regard. We ended up doing one more KC pretty recently, actually, to close out the Grandmaster grind. And as far as the overarching Desert Treasure 2 bosses go, we did get lucky with the Vardorvis, in the sense that we got a complete set before we even got any dupes. This mask came after, I forget the order, I think I might have even got it in a really lucky order as well. I think it was the robe top into the robe bottoms into the Vardorvis mask. Which, by the way, has anyone ever realized the Vardorvis mask is virtually useless? Because more times than not, you would be using Vardorvis for the purpose of a Slayer task. So you would be wearing your Slayer mask. Anyways, to the left of all the Vardorvis is the Executioner's Axe Head, which is the Soul Reaper axe piece, which we unfortunately do not have. Once upon a time, I considered going for the SRA. That was before getting the scythe. Unfortunately, though, we didn't get the axe piece, and I think we only have one of the axe pieces out of the 4. And then obviously we are missing the Butch pet as well. It's a pretty cool pet. I would like to get that. Now I think the game plan for us is to get to 2000 KC just as we did with Zulrah. It's a bit arbitrary, I know, but I'm starting to look at my high scores page and I like to round out the boss KCs. So let's go ahead and do that. We've geared up and made our way to Vardorvis, and the first thing I see when we get here is a bunch of tile markers. We're definitely going to clear this up. This is a leftover from the previously mentioned combat achievement, Axe Enthusiast. Since I haven't been to Vardorvis in so long, this first KC might be interesting, so I'm going to take you guys along with me. Let's pot up and get started here. I don't think I've ever experienced the power of Plate here at Vardorvis either. Certainly when I was on the grind, I only had Torva. Well, I say only, but you know, Torva in itself is pretty powerful. But in terms of slash weapons, it's nothing compared to Oath Plate. Oath Plate is insanely strong in that regard. Honestly, it's mind-boggling. Okay, so far so good, honestly. Now, if we do end up with a Soul Reaper axe piece, we really don't have a purpose for the Soul Reaper axe anymore because, honestly, with a scythe, the scythe outclasses the Soul Reaper at every location, which, well, with the exception of this very boss that we're working on right now, Vardorvis. This is the only place in which we would have use for the SRA. Okay, things are looking a little sketchy here, but we got the job done. That was a little scary. We were on the verge of planking. But there we go. Our first KC, a 110 time. Not that we're trying to go fast specifically or anything, but there we have it. Now we need another 390 KC. Or, I can't do math, 490. You know, we didn't even begin discussing the drop table on here besides the uniques, but a dragon dart tips, 150 of them no less, is pretty nice. Just got done with that first trip to Vardorvis, but it's time for a birdhouse run on 416 Hero. Right now we're just under 50% of the way there to 88 Hunter. And I swear I have been doing this on cooldown as long as I've been in front of my computer. It looks like crafting is going to catch up to the levels though, and then not only that, surpass it. Although EXP is slowing down now as I'm pretty much out of battle staves completely. We're going to transition the crafting training over to cutting gems right now, I think. We are back in our cozy spot at the Myths Guild. Went ahead and opened the group storage, the magical box, and withdrew 10,000 diamonds, uncut diamonds, courtesy of the maxed account. So let's start chipping away at these, and honestly, I have no idea how much EXP this is. I know it's going to be quite a bit, and the timing of this could not have worked out better, actually. Vardorvis, safe to say, is a more intensive activity than Zulrah. As such, more of my attention is going to be on there, and I do want a little bit more downtime on this account. Cutting an inventory full of gems is the perfect way to do that. To be honest, another reason I picked Vardorvis to do was I just wanted to swing my sight. Orb. Bad news, I just planked. Good news, I got distracted because you can see it in the chat there. I hit 1925 total and 83 crafting. And there it is. What do we unlock now? Amethyst bolt tips, black dragonhide shields, and confliction gauntlets. You know what? We don't have a second mocha cloth. We don't have a dupe is the point. So we do have to go back to Doom and Mocha at some point to get confliction gauntlets for this account. Orb. We decked ourselves out in full radiant oath plate for this grind, and it's not often we actually use the oath plate helmet these days. A lot of setups, a lot of the times, involves using the Torva helm for that extra max hit. But I think for Vardorvis, this is one of the exceptions, one of the few places with this exception. I could be wrong though, I just very quickly plugged things into the DPS calculator. We've been using the Beleti ring instead of the Ultor ring as well. Right now, I'm just chilling in the POH because we're up to 1561 KC now. Our starting point was 1509, so quick math right there, we did 52, I believe. Vardorvis is actually the quickest boss out of the 4 DT2 bosses to farm. The KCs will really shoot up quickly. However, I will say, since it's my first time back in a long time, I'm kind of beat. Vardorvis requires a lot of attention. Don't worry, I'm not giving up, but I'm just saying, I think despite the fact that Vardorvis is a fast KC boss, it might end up being slower than you think, just because I'm probably going to take more breaks in between. And you know what? When it comes to cutting these diamonds, absolutely little to no effort. So we're well on our way to 84 crafting already. I touched on this earlier, but it's only becoming more and more apparent with every crafting EXP drop. We're most definitely going to hit 90 crafting before 89 hunter, which is not a problem because that just means we can return back to the Relica rooftops to continue our agility training. Another day, another login. Just did my birdhouse run, and now we're back at our cozy spot. And what a great way to start off, because this first diamond is going to get us 84 crafting. Members can now craft black dragonhide armor and onyx bracelets. I'm not sure how much black dragonhide I have, but if I do have any, I might consider making some of those. And now with 416 hero nice and set up in the cozy spot at the Myths Guild for crafting EXP, let's return to Vardorvis on the maxed account here. Let's see if we can get any interesting drops today. First KC, we were on the brink of death all the way down to 9 HP, but we get 45 Addy ore to start the day. I don't have too much use for Addy ore these days. Actually, probably none at all. The last time I used any was for sailing. Wait, no, I do have a use for them, and that's to make ruby bolts, but I so rarely use them, it's not often I have to make them. I don't go through many of them, and I also do have the option of the ruby dragon bolts. In fact, right now, I probably have more ruby dragon bolts than I have regular ruby bolts. I think the more interesting race is now between the 2000 Vardorvis KC or 90 crafting, but I'm not helping my case in terms of Vardorvis by planking. Honestly, this is just a greed thing. You'll see when I pick up all my gear here, I had an inventory full of food. I just absolutely refused to eat in the middle of a KC. Ooh, a chromium ingot. Obviously, we don't need that anymore on this account, but I imagine I do need some more for the future DT2 rings we're about to get for 416 hero. So that's nice to see. And at Desert Treasure 2, I believe this and Muspa were one of the first few bosses to have a little jingle sound effect whenever you got a unique drop, so that's pretty cool. But speaking of Desert Treasure 2, I haven't even done the quest on this account. A little while ago, I was on a questing binge, but after 10-15 quests, actually, I don't even know if you can call that a questing binge, but after 10-15 quests, I kind of got bored of questing again, and here I am on the maxing grind. I think somewhere along the way, though, we will go back to questing because questing always provides really good EXP. And with things like Tombs of a Masket locked beneath Cursed Sands, and obviously the Desert Treasure 2 rings are, well, Desert Treasure 2 rings. We're going to have to do those inevitably anyways, so yeah, it's just a matter of when. But let's get back to the Mythical. We're kind of joking around in the clan chat right now, and it just occurred to me, I just cracked this joke about back in my day, you know? And it just occurred to me, yeah, back in the day, you had to earn your chromium ingots. There were no way of making them, but these days you can actually make them with some combination of ores and whatnot. I'm not even sure, actually. I never looked it up. By the time I finished Desert Treasure 2 rings on this account, it was well before that update that allowed you to make them. Oh wow, a gold ring. I just got a ring roll for the Ultor Vestige. Now obviously we already have the Ultor, so that is our first one for a whole new Ultor. That's pretty exciting. 1584 KC. Okay, it just occurred to me now when I make it to Desert Treasure 2 on 416 Hero, I might be more inclined to do the grind on this account because I know I'm already 1 out of 3 on the ring rolls. Yeah, in general, I guess the Desert Treasure 2 grind is going to be a tricky one. I'm going to be more incentivized to grind on the main than the 416 Hero account because, well, besides the fact that this account has much better gear, I'm also already 1 out of 4 in terms of the Soul Reaper axe, and now I'm 1 out of 3 for the Ultor ring, and I'm not sure what kind of situation we're at in terms of the other rings, but it could be a similar situation. But you know what? That's a future me problem. I'm just enjoying the Vardorvis grind right now, just to do it up to 2k KC for absolutely arbitrary reasons. So let's just keep at it for now. 200 raw sharks. That is a pretty satisfying drop. Always nice to see a loot beam. Wow, this has been a very long trip so far. I've just been zoning out, got a ton of supply drops, and we made it to 1600 KC. 400 more to go. 85 crafting. Can now craft amethyst arrow tips and combine the accursed scepter. Okay, amethyst arrow tips is actually huge. That means I can start mining amethyst on the maxed account and transfer them over for EXP for fletching on this account. That's something to think about, I suppose. Orb. Right now, we're a few inventories shy of hitting 86 crafting, and we're about to be out of diamonds. So with that being said, we're going to withdraw some rubies, uncut rubies. We have a whopping 32,000 of those available on this account. And I guess we're just going to transfer over about 10,000 for now. We'll see how far that takes us. And into the magical box that is group storage. Alright, this is the last of the uncut diamonds. Just 8 more. And there we have it. Let's go into the group storage and take out those rubies. And that is 86 crafting. Members can now craft amulets of Rancor. Ooh, another unique blood quartz. And I actually don't have inventory space for that. Let's take a look at the collection log real quick at Vardorvis. That is our 4th blood quartz. And we've made it all the way to 87 crafting. We unlock Dorgeshan light orbs, I should say. And I believe that's actually going to be the best available EXP with our molten glass. Unless we want to do orbs, but I think I spoke on this before. I'm probably not going to charge any orbs. And then amethyst javelin tips as well. That's a little irrelevant for us though. But 2 more, nope, scratch that. 3 more levels for us to go till we hit 90. And that's going to be the requirement for the redwood birdhouses. We're in the groove at Vardorvis now, so much so that I hit 1700 total KC on the previous trip, and I'm just now realizing it. But we're a long ways away from 2000 KC. Let's check back in with 416 Hero and the progress over here. We're now level 87 in both crafting and hunter. Now we started at 77 crafting, however, and I think 86 hunter. We're solely relying on birdhouses for the hunter levels and spending all our time crafting. And while I thought crafting was going to take longer initially because I was thinking of using gold bars, we've been making battle staves and cutting gems, and the EXP is actually really, really good. With that being said though, I think we're going to get 90 crafting well before 88 hunter. But we're going to find that out in the next video because we've made a lot of progress already. And to be honest, I need a quick breather from Vardorvis.